When you watch a massive skyscraper going up in the middle of a city, you see the cranes, the steel beams, the sparks flying. It feels like, pure brute force.
Oh, absolutely. It's totally visceral.
Right. But the real power of that site isn't in the heavy machinery. It is hiding in the foreman's trailer, rolled up on a desk. I mean, it's the blueprint.
Yeah. Without the blueprint, all that kinetic energy just creates a pile of rubble.
Exactly. And today we are opening a literal blueprint for your life. We are looking at excerpts from the Akashic Architect's Manual by Crystals by Rob.
And our mission here is to decode how a master-level tool, Angel Phantom Quartz, which is often known as amphibal quartz, acts as this high-fidelity hardware for your soul.
So, okay, let's unpack this, because we aren't just talking about a pretty rock on a shelf today, are we?
No, not at all.
The manual treats this specific stone as, primary technology.
It absolutely treats it as technology. I mean, if you are listening to this right now and you are an entrepreneur trying to scale a business, or, maybe you are in the middle of a massive ground-up life pivot, you are essentially performing complex construction on your own reality.
Right. You're building new life.
Exactly. And just like a physical building, you need a way to check the original site surveys to make sure the life you are actively building is still up to spec.
Up to spec, yeah.
Angel Phantom Quartz is framed as the ultimate surveyor's tool for that exact process.
Which makes the physical structure of the stone so incredibly relevant, I think.
For those who haven't seen one, you are looking at a clear quartz matrix, but inside of it, there are these phantoms.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
They really are. They are these ghost-like internal mineral layers that look like little mountains trapped inside the crystal. They literally mark the previous stages of that specific crystal's growth over, millions of years.
It is the ultimate visual representation of history. The manual explains that these phantoms act as historical logs of evolution. So it's a record.
Right. In the architecture of your life, engaging with this stone provides what they call an Akashic uplink. The author frames the Akashic records not as some vague, dusty library in the clouds, but as a highly organized, high-fidelity design database of your soul's journey.
Wait, I need to stop you there. I mean, I understand the metaphor. It's like looking at the rings of a tree, or if you're a developer, it's like looking at your software's version control history.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, you can see version 1.0 trapped inside version 2.0. But practically speaking, how does staring at a mapped-out rock actually course-correct my life?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where is the bridge between a piece of quartz and the very real, very complicated reality I am trying to navigate?
Well, what's fascinating here is a mechanism the text calls the record keeper protocol. It really comes down to frequency and resonance. You have to remember the context of your daily life, which the manual refers to as construction noise.
Ah, okay. Like the literal noise of building.
Exactly. The emails, the financial stress, the endless daily decisions. When a major project or a life pivot stalls out, it is almost always because the architect, which is you, has lost track of the original objective amidst all that deafening noise.
You just get overwhelmed.
Right. So the stone acts as an anchor.
So it's a physical grounding mechanism to, cut through the static.
Yeah, but it goes deeper than just grounding. Because each phantom layer inside the quartz represents a perfectly completed, distinct growth phase of that crystal, the stone acts as a physical mirror for your own biological and spiritual growth.
Oh, I see.
When you meditate with it, you are utilizing an Akashic data retrieval process. You are using the crystalline structure to run a literal search function.
A search function, wow.
You hold the stable frequency of the quartz to quiet your nervous system, allowing your brain to locate your original lost clarity and, download the precise insights you need to get back on spec.
Right, but say you successfully download that original blueprint. Having the architectural plan and actually executing it are two entirely different skill sets.
Oh, 100%.
Right. The manual talks heavily about high-order data integration, and it describes this high-order intelligence arriving as a sudden, dense insight, like a massive, compressed zip file of data hitting your brain all at once.
Yes, and that is precisely where the dual physical structure of this specific stone becomes vital. You have the clear quartz matrix on the outside, and the high-frequency mineral inclusions, the phantoms on the inside.
The mountains inside the rock.
Exactly. The text states that the inclusions act as a massive signal amplifier. They boost the clarity of those intuitive high-voltage pings.
Okay, so they turn up the volume.
They do. But if you only had the high frequency, you would short-circuit. The clear quartz provides the dense structural clarity needed to actually hold and process that high-voltage information without it completely overwhelming your nervous system.
So what does this all mean in a real-world scenario? Because if you are listening to this, you have probably experienced having a brilliant million-dollar vision for a project while sitting on an airplane.
Oh, totally. We all have.
Right. But then 3 weeks later, you haven't even registered the domain name. So how does this crystal actually stop someone from just daydreaming about their big vision?
Well, the manual addresses that exact failure point with a concept called spiritual inflation.
Spiritual inflation.
Yeah. This is the dangerous tendency for people to get completely intoxicated by high-frequency data. They get addicted to the daydreaming, the endless strategizing, and the big vision, entirely at the expense of grounded physical execution.
Oh, wow.
They get high on the blueprint, but they refuse to pick up a hammer.
Which is incredibly common in visionary circles. You get stuck in the ideation phase because the actual building phase is, well, it's tedious and difficult.
Precisely. True soul architects don't just receive information, they architect it into physical reality. Because Angel Phantom Quartz is physically housed in a hard, dense quartz matrix, it functions as a reality check mechanism.
So it forces you back to Earth.
It does. When you work with it, it forces you to take that massive downloaded data packet and actively unzip it. The energetic density of the quartz demands that the ethereal idea be translated into a logical, phased plan that complies with the laws of physical reality.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right. It prevents spiritual inflation by serving as a strict audit tool, forcing you to compare the messy reality you are building right now against the pristine design specs you originally envisioned.
Okay, but a perfect blueprint is useless if the construction site is like a toxic dump.
That's a very good point.
If my mind has this grand phased plan, what happens when my physical body is too exhausted or too bogged down to actually build it? The text moves from the mind directly into the body here, outlining a really fascinating framework.
Yeah, the transition is seamless.
It says your mind is your cognitive architecture, processing the data. Your heart is your emotional structuralism, handling the energetic load, but your physical cells, they are the absolute foundation. This brings us to cellular structuralism.
This might be the most critical phase of the manual. If the foundation is cracked, the skyscraper falls. The text introduces the cellular memory audit.
Right, the audit.
The working theory here is that every major trauma, every prolonged high-stress period, and every intense survival state you've ever navigated leaves a fossilized impression inside your cellular memory.
The text literally refers to these impressions as structural debris. They are essentially old, outdated survival patches running in the background of your biological operating system. They are the ghosts in your machine.
And those ghosts consume massive amounts of your daily biological energy. Your nervous system is constantly powering an old security system for a threat that ended, 5 years ago.
But here's where it gets really interesting, though. I was reading this section, and the manual explicitly states that Angel Phantom Quartz does not actually erase those ghosts from your past.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't wipe the hard drive. And I found myself arguing with the text. If I am carrying around structural debris from an old business failure or a personal trauma, why wouldn't I want to just delete it entirely?
Right, just get rid of it.
Exactly. Clear it out so I can build my new life on an empty, clean lot. Why keep the debris?
It is a totally natural reaction. But the answer lies in the mechanics of what the author calls release protocols and the system-wide sync. Think back to the physical visual of the crystal itself.
Okay.
The phantom layer, the ghost of the crystal's past, remains highly visible inside the clear quartz. It didn't disappear. It got encapsulated. It got integrated.
It became a permanent part of the architecture.
Exactly. By using the stone's specific resonance to acknowledge a past trauma or a former survival state as a strictly finished layer of your growth, your biological system finally receives the signal to stop trying to actively reprocess that old event. If you just tried to delete it, you would lose the profound structural integrity and wisdom you gained from surviving it.
Oh, wow. So you aren't fighting the ghost anymore, but you aren't ignoring it either. You are literally just updating its status to completed.
Yes. And the moment your nervous system stops allocating resources to fight a ghost, it frees up a massive reservoir of energy. The manual explains that the stone resonates at a frequency that matches the stable geometry of the human energetic field.
Okay, so it aligns things.
Right. By integrating that past layer, it cures what the text calls energetic jitter. If you've ever felt like your mental ambition is moving at 100 miles an hour, but your physical body feels sluggish, out of sync, and exhausted.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
That is energetic jitter. The stone acts as a tuning fork, forcing an alignment of your physical cells, your emotional output, and your mental clarity into one unified, coherent frequency.
So you are turning your past traumas and failures into a solid load-bearing foundation, which logically brings us to the next challenge. Because once your foundation is cleared of that active structural debris and your entire biological system is synchronized, the structure is going to start scaling upwards.
It has to.
Yeah, it is going to have to bear new weight.
And scaling is exactly where most architectural structures and, well, human beings actually fail. The manual places huge emphasis on the fact that when you scale a business or step into a larger role in your life's work, you drastically increase the throughput of energy, data, and stress.
The stakes get higher.
Much higher. If your internal energetic plumbing is thin, you are going to leak energy and you are going to burn out spectacularly.
The manual calls this capacity building. It frames angel phantom quartz as an energetic voltage regulator. But what is the actual mechanic there? I mean, how does a crystal regulate biological or spiritual voltage so the human vessel doesn't just shatter from the pressure of scaling?
Well, the text introduces a critical mechanic called pivot point integrity. When you are executing a major life pivot, you are under immense structural load.
Like changing a car's tires while driving on the highway.
That is a perfect analogy. You are changing direction while carrying the full weight of your life. The stone acts similarly to a tuned mass damper inside a real skyscraper. It prevents the building from swaying too far and snapping in the wind.
Because it teaches you to lean on those encapsulated phantom layers.
Precisely.
Yeah.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the stone trains your energetic system to utilize those past layers as stable, load-bearing supports. It allows you to carry the heavy wisdom of the past without carrying the active trauma of the past.
That's huge.
It is. It ensures that as you expand your external influence and take on massive new pressure, your center of gravity holds steady. You don't lose the core fundamental values that made you capable of scaling in the first place.
And the text lays this out so clearly in what they call the scaling matrix. It breaks down into 3 distinct phases that map directly onto the physical anatomy of the stone.
Right. The foundation, iteration, and expansion.
Yeah. First, you have the foundation phase, which is represented by the thick, clear quartz matrix. That is where you solidify your baseline processes and your non-negotiable values. Then you have the iteration phase, represented by the internal phantom layers,
where you document your past wins.
Exactly. You finalize your current phase of growth and encapsulate your history. And finally, you have the expansion phase, which is the crystal peak itself. That is where you actually puncture through to the next level, scaling your influence and increasing your capacity.
It is a brilliant synthesis. You are scaling to these incredibly high-frequency expansions at the peak, but you are maintaining deep-rooted, load-bearing stability at the base. And what is truly amazing is that this synthesis, this exact tension between the sky and the earth, is perfectly mirrored in the specific metaphysical associations the author connects to the stone.
I was looking at those associations, and what struck me wasn't just the sheer number of them, but the extreme, almost jarring contrast. The manual divides the stone's energy into 2 distinct categories, the soul star and the root.
Let's look at the mechanics of why those 2 categories exist. The soul star associations are entirely governed by the spirit element. You have connections to the expansive planet Jupiter, the erratic innovation of Uranus, and the airy astrological signs of Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra.
Even the animals associated with the soul star are all about elevation and high perspective. You know, the eagle, the raven, the spider. The colors are white and magenta.
And Archangel Mariel is there.
Right. And the deities, Zeus, Buddha, Kuan Yin, even the spirits are sylphs and fairies. Plus, the essential oils are these very high, light, volatile scents like jasmine, neroli, and bergamot. It's all wind, sky, and expansion.
But then you look at the root associations. This is entirely governed by the earth element. Here, the energy violently shifts. We connect to the restrictive, heavily structured planet Saturn and the aggressive drive of Mars.
Totally different vibe.
We move into the heavy, grounded astrological signs of Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo, and Archangel Uriel anchors this side.
The contrast is massive. For the root, you aren't dealing with eagles. You are dealing with the bull, the bear, the wolf, the dog. I mean, heavy, grounded, muscular creatures. The color drops to red.
And the deities shift to Pan, Dionysus, Cernunnos.
And gnomes and dwarfs instead of fairies. And the herbs and oils drop down into thick, earthy materials like cedarwood, ashwagandha root, turmeric root, and vetiver. Why does this single stone require the expansive, boundless energy of Jupiter mixed directly with the restrictive, heavy energy of Saturn?
This raises an important question. How do we actually define power? In the context of the evolutionary architect, the manual argues that true power isn't just about accessing high-frequency spiritual concepts.
It's not just having a good idea.
No, it isn't just about having the grand vision. True power is defined as the active synthesis of heaven and earth.
The synthesis of the high vibration inclusions inside the stone and the solid, heavy, clear quartz that houses them.
Exactly. It is the ability to hold the boundless visionary energy of Jupiter and the eagle while simultaneously maintaining the absolute grounded structural integrity of Saturn and the bear.
So you need both.
You absolutely need both. If you only have the soul star energy, you float away into spiritual inflation. You have great ideas but build nothing. If you only have the root energy, you become rigid, stuck in the mud, and entirely resistant to growth or scaling.
That makes a lot of sense.
The Angel Phantom Quartz demands that you hold both simultaneously.
Yeah.
It demands that you merge the divine blueprint with the heavy physical labor of construction.
So when we pull all of this together, what this manual is really offering through Angel Phantom Quartz is a masterclass in utilizing your own history. From unzipping those massive Akashic blueprints in your mind so they become actionable plans, to defragging the cellular memory in your physical body so you stop fighting old ghosts,
Right.
to acting as a vital voltage regulator when you are finally ready to scale your life to the next level. It proves that your past growth phases, your version 1.0, your version 2.0, they aren't dead data.
No, they are vital.
They aren't things to be deleted, hidden, or ashamed of. They are the essential encapsulated structural layers that make the current version of you robust enough to actually bear the weight of the life you are trying to build.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to mull over as you go about your day. If your life were a crystal right now, what specific phantom layer from your past, maybe a public failure, a deep personal trauma, or just an embarrassing former version of yourself, are you actively trying to hide or erase?
Oh, that's a tough question.
It is. But is it possible that the very thing you are trying to delete is actually the exact load-bearing support you need to integrate before you can pull off your next massive expansion?
That is a question worth sitting with. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep checking your blueprints, keep honoring your foundations, and, keep building your reality with precision.